G'day Bomber fans, I've talked about our playing list for 2024 a lot already, almost too much, but I haven't really gone over the coaches that much, so today I'm going to introduce you to the coaching staff. I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with them anyway, but for those who don't know, I guess here are the coaches. We start with the senior coach, the head honcho. He is the one calling the shots, the most prominent figure at the club really. They not only make the big decisions and decide on pretty much everything, or everything goes through them on game day, but they also have the most pressure of them, of anyone at the team. So it's good we got an experienced name, Brad Scott, one of the most highly respected coaches around. He was a tough nut at Brisbane in his playing days, and that translates through to his coaching style. He was an assistant at Collingwood not long after his playing days, and from there went on to coach North Melbourne to 2 preliminary finals, despite having an average list at best at his disposal. He had a little time away from coaching to work for the AFL, which I think would have given him a new look on the game from outside of the four walls of a club. He came to Essendon and managed to exceed expectations in his first years. It should also be noted that he is the reason highly sought after players decided to stay with the club, like Mason Redman. He won the boys over, a finals finish in 2024, and he wins the fans over. He probably needs a good year considering he runs to the end of his contract soon, but there is improvement already. A lot of what we liked about last year was because of him. He's attempted to make us more defensively orientated, which we haven't been for a while, but your senior coach is only as good as those around him, so let's have a look at the assistants. Alrighty, assistant coaches, these are the guys that work with the lines. You got defense, midfield and forward coaches. When you see a little group of players split up to converse, it's because they are meeting with their line coach. But all these guys also play a big role in guiding Scott and executing his vision with the players they work with. Often when a team finds success, the credit goes to the senior coach, but these guys are just as important and way more understated. Let's start with the midfield. Brent Stanton, he is the most inexperienced of our assistant coaches, but we know him the most. He was a long-time Essendon player until 2017, I think, when he retired. After a brief stint, after his playing days, he had a brief stint at Carlton. He came back to the Dons after that. He was working closely with the development crew and the VFL from 2022, and he's now been promoted to be one of our leading assistant coaches. He was a really decent wingman in his playing days. His tank and IQ were the best features, so hopefully he can help our outside runners to become better players in 2024. Our other midfield coaches are Goody, Daniel John Siracusa, genuinely one of the best assistant coaches in the league. It's not even biased speaking. He's won the AFLCA Assistant Coach of the Year award in the past, 2021 I think. He was a Bulldogs player. The Silver Fox genuinely hasn't aged a day since retirement. He doesn't really help our team. I just thought I'd boost his ego a bit in case he ever watches. Doubt he would. He was always set for a move into coaching. He coaches at the Dogs. He was a forward coach that drilled forward 50 stoppages into them. He also coached the Dogs VFL team and then moved to us to coach our backline, and obviously he did a good job there. Such a good job he was moved to our midfield where he can assist with our stoppage game like he did over at the Dogs. He is our best assistant coach. Many think it's only a matter of time before he becomes a full-time senior coach. Hopefully for us it's later rather than sooner. The backline assistant coach is Ben Jacobs, another fairly inexperienced name compared to the others around the joint. He finished his career after Brent Stanton, fairly short career, 90 games. He moved to us from St Kilda, pretty short resume so far, still building, but as a player he played as a tagger, so he is clearly defensively minded as a squad member, which I'm sure translates to his coaching style. He is only in his early 30s, very young, but still respected enough to by those within the four walls to be given an opportunity, an important role so early into his coaching career. If you're doubting his credentials, keep in mind he did a pretty decent job with an undersized backline last year. And finally, Dale Tapping, forward assistant coach, been with us a few years. Something we don't really talk about with him is the impact his leave had on us as a club last year. His cancer battle was unfortunate for the boys, considering he's such a popular figure at the club. Really though, we're all just glad he's okay and back coaching again, and hopefully that's the last we hear of that, and we can have him back coaching regularly full-time, having a positive impact on the club like he did when he was around full-time. He's always been a great coach, not just at Essendon. He was successful at Collingwood in the VFL, won Coach of the Year there after leading a pretty poor team to finals consecutive times. Alrighty, game strategy, or the full title, Coaching, Innovation and Game Strategy Manager. This is the guy that oversees the strats and tactics that we employ, and luckily for us, David Rath is just about the perfect addition. He has a sizable resume. He was recently at the Wallabies during their World Cup campaign, which doesn't really help us too much, but before that he was at St Kilda as the head of football. He was at Hawthorn during their three-peat. He has worked at the AFL as the head of coaching and innovation. He has been everywhere. Really highly regarded coach with a great football mind. We have already seen him work with players like Elijah Sartas off the side of training drills. I like this addition. Hopefully we see on-field improvement from it. Alright, on to the coaches who we don't really see too much of. They are more more behind the scenes. We'll start with Blake Caracella, VFL head coach. Spoken about this already. This is a guy who could also be a head coach one day. He was an assistant at Collingwood, assistant at Geelong, assistant at Richmond. He's been involved in a few premierships in that time. He then moved to Essendon to join our midfield coaching group, but has now been shifted to the VFL to aid our younger boys and fast track our development. A move I'm very happy with, to be honest. And speaking of development, we have a new head of development. This is pretty much the manager for all the development coaches I will speak of next. Cam Roberts, I don't really know too much about him. He was a university football coach hired by us in 2019 and rose the ranks from a VFL assistant to the head of development. He will work a lot with the VFL team through the guidance of the dev coaches under him. And the development coaches, these guys work with the younger players, focus on improving their skills and craft and pretty much every aspect of their game that they lack at a young age. They're trying to make them better players, pretty much. That's to sum it up. We start with Michael Hurley, who we all know and love, one of my all-time favourite Essendon players. He only retired a couple of years ago, but he's already back with us coaching the young boys, something he did during his playing days anyway. He was always a great leader. Travis Cloak retired back in 2017 after a long career at Collingwood and a few games at the Dogs as well. Since retirement, he's been heavily involved with the development in a range of roles. He was an academy coach at Collingwood. He coached a talent league side and now is with us coaching our young kids. And finally, Natalie Wood. She is our AFLW head coach, obviously, but she's also been added to our AFL development program as well in the same role as Hurley and Cloak. The AFLW and AFL play styles are drastically different, but she's shown the ability to, I guess, learn on the run anyway. She has a smart football brain as it is, so I'm sure she'll provide some valuable experience to the younger development coaches around her. But that's that. So those are our coaches for 2024. Let me know your thoughts down below. Seems like an interesting coaching panel, if nothing else. That's all though. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and as always, go Bombers.